Darren, to lose there 2-1 to Oxford, I think the obvious thing was that we got our goal, much too late to affect proceedings.
Our first half performance, I think, is ultimately what has cost us it. I felt we restricted them quite well first half to, the long throws, etc. And we dealt with them quite well with, the defending for their first goal. Beforehand, I stressed the fact that once they get near the penalty area, they've got to be shown away from goal. They've got to be shown down the line. Otherwise, anything can happen. Ultimately, he's allowed to come inside as a deflected shot. The shot is going nowhere to start with. It gets a deflection. It goes to the bottom corner. That always seems to happen to us, but there's a reason for that, and that is basically poor defending. And we don't encourage people to shut down lines. There's got to be communication from other people. But generally, I felt there was no tempo in our game first half. The last two games especially, we've had so much tempo in the first half that we should have been away from teams. Harrogate the other night, me and you talked about it afterwards, that to be so dominant first half and only 1-0 up was a killer for them. And today, everything we tried to throw at Oxford first half they dealt with, but I just felt second balls, etc. they won more than we did first half.
I thought we started well enough. For the first 10 minutes we were quite good, and again it was a case of us not taking the opportunities. There was a short-range header from Johnny Wright, which possibly could have been in better place, but we did quite well early on, and then we didn't, as you quite say, we seemed to lose our momentum.
Yeah, and then so looking at it, you've got to give them a bit of credit. They started to up a little bit, won a few more second balls in the centre of midfield, and then turned us round a lot. And that's the way they play Oxford. It's about percentages into areas and squeezing things in, and they use the big boy down the middle quite well. He's a strong lad, and they run off him quite well. So it was always going to be a tough game. But yeah, after that initial 5, 6, 7 minutes early on, where we had a couple of chances, if you don't take them when you're on top, we say this so many times, wash it up with myself and you, and it becomes difficult then. But then probably should have scraped a 2-2. Two chances in the last couple of minutes that a gilt edge and a little bit better control from Gareth, and he slots it in the bottom corner. He then gets a one-on-one situation, and I was hoping someone was going to encourage him to go past. He took a shot early, probably the wrong decision. But at times when there's a couple of minutes left and you're pushing, it's a bit hasty. Then his mindset probably isn't quite right. So in the end, maybe they will probably deserve it.
You mentioned the big lad up front. I thought there was just a little bit of class with him, and I think he showed that on his goal.
Yes, but again, I think it was Kyle. I'm not too certain. It could have been shown down the line away from goal and encourage that. And then there's not too many forwards, wingers, do us for pace. We're quite a quick back four, so therefore I think if you show it down the line, both goals can be stopped by defending like that. But yeah, like you say, he just dropped his shoulder and he's buried it quite well. So give him some credit, but also we've got to ask questions about what we do defensively in our own penalty area.
What would you look at today and say, well, we can take a little bit of credit from that? That was one of the plushes I could take from that game.
Well, when we moved the ball well in that last 15 minutes, I can hear the nervousness and tension coming through from the crowd, and like we always say, that if players are put under pressure, they don't do the right things, and that's what Oxford have done all season. Is they play that way. It's route one. It's squeezed in. It's high tempo. It's pressurising. You've got to be brave to move the football. And then it wasn't until the last 15 minutes where we decided, okay, all right, we might have a better option by passing it around. And Joe McGee got back in the game again with the last 15 minutes. Skip Boyd was able to pass it a little bit, and then when they played that way, we carved up and the 2 or 3 chances that were available at all the end, and we got down the sides quite well, and they blocked some crosses, etc. So I think it's difficult to always take positives, but I think that the proof is there that if they believe in each other and they move the ball quicker, less touches on the ball. The ball obviously can move faster than any player. So if you have a good first touch, get your head up, pass it quickly, we'll create chances. We always do. So from the point of view of the whole, it's disappointing, but I think we created enough chances to get something from it.
Niall Capperthwaite was an absentee. What was it? Was it a knee injury from midweek?
We think from Colwyn Bay there was a twist. He's got quite a nasty knock across his knee, so Susan thinks possibly a little strain on his medial, but he'll be okay for next weekend. We just needed to, for the sake of one game, we didn't want to risk too much, and with all the rest of the games we've got coming up Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Monday, etc. for a while now, so we needed just to rest him, and then he'll be back next weekend.
John Fuller did a piece with Jordan Connaughton this week. you've seen that. What you've been speaking to Jordan yourself. What's the bang up to date news on him?
He's having his injection Monday or Tuesday this week, and then I'm told that within 7 to 10 days of that he can start to join in training and so forth, and we're hoping to have him back around us by the end of Feb. So that'll be, a huge plus. He's been out a long time, and it's been difficult for him. His first season away from sort of his 3 or 4 years at pro level, and he's picked up an injury that's dragged on. So I've tried to be in communication with him a lot and keep his spirits up, and PFA have been brilliant with the help they've given him. And as I say, so hopefully by Monday or Tuesday he'll have had the injection in, the cortisone and stuff, injections in there, and he'll be settled down and he'll be back with us.
We're still having to look over our shoulders, Darren, though. We're still 7 points clear of the team we beat last week. That was an important win down there, and we're two more matches further down the line. At the moment, are you still looking over and thinking about what we could be dragged into, or you say we can obviously get much further before the end of the season?
I think as a group of players or as coaching staff, if you start to look over your shoulder, then it spoils your emphasis on what you're trying to do. So it brings in too much. There's too much panic sets in, then a little bit of unrest and etc. So no, you've got to keep looking up. We've got to then climb to mid-table and then put some points on the board and then look up, keep looking up all the time. And if and when you have to be, panic about that situation, then you deal with that at the time. But at the moment, there's enough games to be played, there's enough points to be won, to be thinking positively rather than negatively.
And two good teams coming up in the space of 4 days. One, Altrincham next Saturday and Chester afterwards. Two good games where really the lads don't need much motivating to play against teams in the top 4 or the runaway leaders. Yeah,
absolutely. So, like you say, the two great games. From a point of view of motivating the team, then that should be the easy part of my job. Then we've got to look at individual things with people, look at what the other teams are going to do, and then push and be 2 home games again. We've got to be positive and try and take some points from it.
How worrying is it that we haven't won down here since October? That's the other thing, isn't it?
Yeah, teams will come and do an Oxford and sit deep and counter-attack. We've got to be good enough to break them down, and credit to Oxford, they held on for a 2-1 and we weren't good enough. On another day I'm sure we will be. That we've always created chances on our home patch. This season as such haven't taken as many as we'd like to, but as I say, we've still got enough home games coming up to rectify that stat and go and push forward.
And interesting enough, visitors next Saturday, Altrincham. I still think that was one of our best performances of the season. Yet they have never looked back since we beat them. Then they're in the top 4 now.
Yeah, they've been positive, haven't they, in what they do. That's their standards that we set ourselves that night, and unfortunately, too many times this season we've dropped below that. They've maintained theirs. Fair play to them. There's other teams up there, with the bigger budgets that can maintain standards and maintain that consistency. Whether that be defensively organised and then taking the chances when they come around. So there's always going to be a lot to do with this football club. We're not blind to of what needs to be done and what it's going to take to push into that top 10. And that's what ultimately the players striving to do. Myself and Tony are striving to do. Your hands are always tied.
Darren, thanks very much.
Cheers, Walsh. Thank you.